star 1978, star 8378, Nicole Cattaruzza. It's February 18th, 2022. I'm just watching, I turned on the TV and I was just like, oh my gosh, GMA. It's an ABC and it says GMA. Now what's interesting is in the beginning of the show that I actually was able to catch, because sometimes you turn the TV on but you don't have the beginning of the program. This particular one, for whatever reason, when I hit record quickly so I didn't lose it, it went back to all the way in the beginning, which is a technical glitch because it doesn't always work that way. Now, it goes back to kind of, sort of, but not really, the unrest in the American colonies, being that I'm feet in North America and where I was born. Now, my oldest son, the one that was born 99, who I call Benjamin, when I worked in Patchogue, in the real estate office, Rich McClellan, and Rich McClellan opened Exit Links in Patchogue. I worked out of that location. I had went to a local college, which I think was called St. Joseph's or Briarcliff. I don't remember the name of it, but I met at a table for I don't know what branch of military service. There was somebody there by the name of Patrick. We'll just go with Patrick. Patrick then wanted to get his real estate license, whatever. He also had a project he was working on. Long story short is he invited me. He actually asked if Benjamin would like to I don't know if it was to support the project inside of the military service members. There were going to be an Islip, which of course I was like so excited that he even asked. I said, of course we will. In fact, actually, I think I said I have to ask Benjamin, because Benjamin, I had to make sure he was receptive to it because I didn't want to embarrass myself and him with the opportunity. So I went home. We committed that we were going to go. Ben went. Ben was a part of whatever Patrick was with. I stayed on. I wasn't allowed to march with them or be with them. I went to the sidelines and I just cheered them on. I didn't bring Daniel or Alexander. I left them at home with the nanny at the time, because I really wanted to focus just on Benjamin. Benjamin's slightly older than the other two, and Benjamin's more of the one that I was concerned with. I wanted him to find like a men's, like, not warehouse, but like a men's niche where they could educate him in like men fashion of what he needs to know to grow into a good, I don't know if you want, like, North American. So that happened, and I stayed on quietly because awkwardly I don't know where to stand or what to do, so I just sat in my quietness by myself, or stood in my quietness by myself, and just watched all the moving parts of like a parade being put together and going by. I didn't take any photo footage of it. Again, I wasn't at that time. My health was not in, I guess you could say, yes, it was in jeopardy. It had already been jeopardized, but not in the severity of the fashion for which 2016 brought about. So with that being said, and what was welcoming to my son, which I greatly appreciated. Again, I don't know who to address. I addressed Patrick directly by his name because he only went by Patrick when he introduced himself to me. There was no formality of title or whichever. If he had, I would have, but he was he was going to join the office for real estate, and he introduced me to Charles as well. And so, with that being said and respectable, and I was dressed professionally at that time. My hair was done. I had respectable makeup on. I didn't look like I do now I have no income coming in. And now I've been severely hurt, in a way that is hard to explain, and I don't have them as go-to contacts. On that note, there's a piece that just came on. I don't know what branch they were in. I don't know how to decipher the difference. Again, it wasn't an illusion. Well, not an, I mean, it's an actual, but in my illusion of where the light touches that I can see and what I've experienced, I have not been brought into a fold of wasn't born to a family that had generational consistency. There were gaps in the consistency, which left like what I call a wiffle ball, because there were key male figures and vocabulary, and as the world turns of knowing things and passing things forward, that I was completely unprepared, and not that preparedness, that I'm still grappling with in like a really hard to explain. So I believe they were more in like a fatigue. It was like I've heard them call it combat, but there was no weaponry involved, thank God. That would have, in tranquility on a main street, that would have frightened me. So anyhow, so this is, and that was, I think, Islip Village, it was a township of Islip, but it was also the village, maybe it was the village of Bayshore. I don't remember. It was somewhere South Shore, on a main street, which I think is Sunrise Highway, is what they call it, because, right, so, but they would have record of what they were, whatever, in whatever. But for that point of whoever showed up at that really kind gesture, I look at it with my son, greatly appreciate it as a mother who is in need of wanting to find where she needs to go, but doesn't quite know how it works at all. It's this piece. It was brought on by Toronto Dominion, which shows a green color. That was the sponsor at the way beginning. Oh, they say TD Bank at the way beginning of this piece, that they brought out. Again, when they sell you a TV with a remote, there's an instruction manual to manufacturing parts and stuff, but for what will be broadcast and how to watch a TV, in what does it mean for you and your children, there's been no instruction manual like this. They deliver the unit with the remote, and then it's like, and they leave with the money, not the whatever, but just the guys at the store, and then you bring the box home, and then you pay for the service of the cable company, but there's no real like instruction or whatever. So I'm just gonna put this on real quick.
Questions, keep them coming to Dr. Ashton on her Instagram.
But this concerns me because this is going on in the interior of North America, and I was not involved in it, nor was I invited to have the same within my life frame. Next generation, they say.
ABC's Ike Kajachi takes us there.
Taking flight was something Trey Jackson always wanted to do. When did that first hit you?
Now, I'm confused because we're already at a disadvantage, or I am, in North America, even though we have the rock and the paper. And then this is developing and training in pilotry, which I wasn't even offered in some, I don't know, relationship with what, I'm not sure. But if you have an Air Force, why would you allow training of somebody else's Air Force to go on within your interior? That's what I'm not clear on.
I was 2 years old. I would sit on his lap and watch the movie Top Gun. And from there, I've always wanted to aspire to be a pilot.
I feel the need for speed.
Jackson soon found out becoming a pilot was going to take a lot more than a pair of sunglasses and a few taglines, especially for someone who looks like him. That is until he received a call to join a program looking to diversify the skies with a new generation of black pilots.
This is a state-of-the-art program, and I've honestly seen nothing like this before.
He's talking about the Red Tail Flight Academy, the program which was created in
Again, building USA athletics and Olympic, fit sector, and then involving air and warcraft in the same category, but in an area that has a different whatever, and disallowing the children that look like the rock and the paper from being able to enter or even find programs that are similar. There has to be something in place that makes this an offensive of whatever. I don't understand why I and my children were not able to obtain something at this level within our life frames, but yet it seems to be what's propagated and what's being promoted. And then I watch about Camp Lejeune, where they were poisoned, and then I watch about the Horn this morning, what was on the Horn.
2021 is inspired by the renowned Tuskegee Airmen, the first all-black military pilots who fought the Nazis in World War II, as well as discrimination and racism here at home.
Now we need to know how we're going to get into this maneuver.
Jackson and his fellow pilots in training are members.
So now yesterday was Lincoln's dilemma. How is this working within that dilemma? Being that in the 1800s, the employment ended, and now I see the employ of what's being prepared for employment, although I wasn't allowed to be part of it, neither was my son.
Members of the inaugural class.
So what was that like for your families when you told them, you know what, I think I actually want to become a pilot?
They really wanted to back me and find really a way to actually, get me into aviation, just because nobody in my family's really been in aviation at all.
It costs a tremendous amount of money to become an aviator.
Glenn Frazier would know. He's the director of the Red Tail Youth Flying Program and has been flying both commercially and for the New York Air National Guard for almost 25 years.
In the neighborhood of $100,000 to go all the way from zero-time pilot to your commercial multi-instrument rating.
$100,000.
$100,000.
It's a lot of money.
But
That sounds like my parents. That's why I don't understand. This has to involve some form of sponsorship.
besides the daunting price tag, Frazier says there's several barriers preventing pilots like Trey and even himself from navigating the skies.
Throughout those 24 years, did you see a lot of black pilots?
No.
Not many.
No.
The Bureau of Labor Statistics says less than 4% of the nation's aircraft pilots and flight engineers are black. Those numbers are even worse in the military. According to the Air Force, last year, they accounted for nearly 4...
So this program and the military are separate? Is that what they're saying? So this is privatized?
14,000 active duty pilots, 283 of whom were black. That's less than 2%. Those glaring numbers come as the airline industry currently faces a pilot shortage. A recent study estimates a shortage of more than 12,000 pilots by the end of 2023.
Aren't they supposed to be shutting down so children aren't just flying at whim everywhere? I mean, there's a need in a sector that's allowed to, but not everybody needs their children flying everywhere and causing trouble.
Talent is talent. And if you are only accepting a percentage of the talent pool, then that's a failure on your part.
We are molding them to be the best of the best.
Ann Palmer is a founding...
Do I have a version of her somewhere in the world? I'm just curious, because I haven't found her. I don't know where to find her. But I really have needed that kind of help my entire life.
board member for the Red Tail Flight Academy, and says these new pilots are carrying the legacy of the Tuskegee Airmen, a legacy that was shaped in part by her father, one of the original members.
My father was Second Lieutenant Augustus L. Palmer.
What would your father say, seeing...
Whatever. Now I have a technical glitch. Now the service isn't working. What a surprise. It's star 1978, star 8378, Nicole, Cattaruzza. It's Earth, Solar System, Milky Way, Universe, Galaxy is broken. It's Bayside Station, Bayside, New York, 11361.